On this episode of All Consuming Podcast,
we're going to put our toes in the water of guitar solos.
What do you guys think of this guitar solo? And if everyone's like, what's this guitar solo in our metalcore?
Take it home.
We don't like that here. Welcome, everyone. Or Jen and Crystal. No, welcome to the podcast. I'm Gary, and the guy who's also going to be talking is Tyler.
Dude.
And on this episode, we're going to be talking about Fit for a King's new album, The Path. And we haven't talked to each other at all. So I'm kind of excited because he kind of says he loves it, and I'm kind of like on the fence.
Here we go.
So we'll see how this whole thing comes out. I haven't talked to anybody about my opinions, so this is an exclusive release of Gary's opinions.
And everyone wants that.
Everyone wants that.
Everyone does.
Jen and Crystal want my opinions.
Those are our wives, by the way, if you didn't know. Our only listeners. Just kidding. We have a whole, another dynamic. We have our parents that sometimes listen, and
distant relatives.
Distant relatives, yeah. That's about it.
So, Tyler.
Yes.
How about you start? What's your just overall thoughts of the album before we start going through each song?
Okay, so Fit for a King. Number one, we saw them last year together. And
is that the only time you've ever seen them?
That is. And when I left that show, I think I said this to you. We went to eat whatever afterwards, and I think I told you specifically that was probably the heaviest band I've ever seen. And you said, dude, you've seen Impending Doom. You're lying. But, I mean, in that moment, that's what I thought, And so I was really stoked. I really, really loved their last album, Dark Skies. So I was ready for The Path. And on first listen, there were some songs that, especially some singles they released, I wasn't a huge fan of at first, but I gave it more of a shot. And I'd say it's up there. It's a top-notch album to me. I really thoroughly enjoy it.
So of all the Fit for a King albums, so there's 6.
Yeah.
Where do you think it places? Like, I don't think you really cared for their older stuff.
I mean, I listened to some of it, but this
is a hard question.
not as good as Dark Skies.
Okay.
And I should have had this written down. The one with Pissed Off on it is probably better than that.
Death Grip.
Death Grip, that's what it is. Yeah.
The one with Death Grip on it.
The one with Death Grip on it. I should have known. Yeah. I say it probably is in between Death Grip and Dark Skies for me.
Okay. Wow. Much lower for me.
Okay, so give us your thoughts.
So, okay, this comes from a fan. I've been a fan of Fit for a King since Matty Mullins was featured on the Architect song on their Descendants album, back when I was a big fan of Memphis Mayfire.
Yeah.
That's actually kind of how I found a lot of bands back in the day, is like bands I liked, if they were featured on another band, I'm like, oh, these guys must be good because this guy is someone I like. So, I don't know. This album has been ups and downs. I think if a few of the songs were released on Dark Skies, they would probably be my favorite songs. Like, they're really, really good. But a lot of the songs I feel are... So before I say this, I'll say I think the mixing and the quality of the music is great.
Phenomenal. I think it's phenomenal, and I want to talk about that.
The drums, like the guitars, the vocals. I mean, very good mix. Like, great quality. Loved it. Easy to hear, very clear. But the lyrics and, I don't know, maybe the energy of some songs, super lacking to me. You're frozen over there, Tyler.
My eyes are just like, you said lyrics. Like, we're talking about like super positive. We'll get into the lyrics specifically, but you're talking about like super positive.
So not the content. Well, okay. So not the meaning of the lyrics, but there are some songs where like there's like one sentence and then the next sentence makes zero sense and has nothing to do with the previous sentence, and it's like, I'll get to it.
Okay. All right.
Song,
Maybe we should dive in. So what I'm getting from you is you are a little frustrated because you were expecting a lot more from a band that you are a true fan of.
So I loved Dark Skies. Favorite album. I have the vinyl on my wall.
Yeah.
Like, I love it to death. And I knew their next album couldn't be better. Like, I had low expectations anyway. I was whatever. And as the singles came out, I didn't, so first was Breaking the Mirror, and I thought, this is their soft song. I was wrong. Then they came out with, like, what was next? God of Fire. And that song was like, holy cow, this is so heavy. There's still hope here.
Heavy and different. Yeah.
Yeah, and what came out after that one?
Annihilation.
No, that was the last one. Locked in
Was
My
it?
Head.
Oh, Locked in My Head, yeah.
Which I was like, this is the softest song. And I wasn't a fan of it at first. I was like, yeah, it's catchy. It's kind of like the way A Day to Remember is going. Very, general market friendly.
It's butt rock, Gary.
Yeah, butt rock. Yep. And then Annihilation came out, and I was like, well, okay, so we've got 4 very different songs. And I was like, there's only 6 left. What could they sound like?
Yeah.
But of those 6, I think the ones that were not singles might be my favorite ones.
I agree. I do agree on that. There's some awesome songs, and so I think that goes to show, like, you can't really fully judge an album on the singles that are released, because I actually will say right now, my 2 favorite songs weren't released as singles.
Yep.
So
yeah, same here. But I think the whole album has kind of this theme, whether they intended to or not. But I don't know. Some of the lyrics are repetitive in each songs. Like they like to say "bow down" in God of Fire and what is it? Maybe it's The Path or Prophet.
Bow Down's great. You ever heard Born of Osiris? They start a song by saying F word, bow down.
Oh, that sounds so good. But and maybe this sentence doesn't really apply, but they have lyrics that are the same in every song. That's like overcoming mountains, victory, destroying fear, and they always have church bells. Like half the songs have church bells in them.
We need to talk about that.
Is this AC/DC?
We need to talk about that. Okay, but we need to dive in.
So let's jump in.
We could talk about this for another hour. I love how you said church bells, because I was trying to think about, like, what is that? What, because it's obviously, I'm not a drummer. You're not a drummer, but it's obviously part of their percussion, right?
I think it's produced.
No. That has to be percussion.
Okay.
Well, it has to be. We'll figure it out. Okay, so let's just jump in. So first song, and we heard this actually before the album came out because we watched their live release kind of show thing on Twitch, is The Face of Hate. And we both, after that, said, hey, we kind of like that song. After a first listen. That might have been one of our favorite ones they kind of showed on that Twitch live show. What were your thoughts on that one?
Well, I enjoyed the live thing. I thought that was really cool. I think more bands should do that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like, I was looking forward to that all day. Once I get off work, I get to go watch them release their album. So Face of Hate, I think it's a very safe song. I like that it starts with like a classic metalcore, like it has the drums and it has like a guitar riff. I've heard people say it's like classic metal, like Iron Maiden type guitar riff.
It reminds me more of like As I Lay Dying. And
that's what I thought. Yeah. It actually reminded me of like newer Demon Hunter, like a newer Demon Hunter album, because their guitarist Patrick Judge, I think he does a lot of similar things to Fit for a King's guitarist, new one, Daniel Gailey. They're both very talented. I enjoy most of the stuff they do, but and the songs, it's okay. The lyrics are cheesy. We're climbing a mountain, victory in sight. It's like, oh my gosh.
I mean, but okay. And we're going to say this with almost every song. That's really the theme of this, The Path. Like, the whole theme of the album is, like, overcoming self-obstacles, right? Like, your own judgment of yourself, the way you look at yourself, maybe depression, maybe, things that are going on in your head. But that's a big theme of this whole album. And The Face of Hate is similar.
Yeah, I thought the verses were better than the chorus.
Yeah.
Lyrically. But I thought this was a very middle of the road, like normal Fit for a King album. It wasn't like, or song.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was like, this is the song of the album. And I didn't think, what are they doing?
Exactly. It's a good way to start. I mean, the breakdown, I think it's around like almost 3 minutes. It's a pretty awesome breakdown. It's a Fit for a King breakdown. When you listen to a Fit for a King song, there's usually like a gnarly breakdown that's going to get you going. That's going to make you want to move. Mm-hmm. And they have one in there, It's not like a couple songs where it's like building. You're like, oh, here it comes. And then it never actually happens.
Mm-hmm. So, Breaking the Mirror is next.
Yes,
first single.
Track 2.
I remember when it was released as a single, and I thought, I don't know. I liked it, but it's like sometimes when a band drops a single, I listen to it a lot. But this one I actually had to remove from my playlist because I heard it too much. I thought it was a little repetitive. But before we get into my opinion, how about you tell me what you think, Tyler?
First listen. I think the first full listen, I wasn't a huge fan. I was expecting traditional Fit for a King, and it wasn't that. I listened to Jake Lure's react to it also on YouTube, and he has it's an awesome video of him reacting to it.
Tyler, who's Jake Lure's for those that don't know?
Jake Lure's is the lead vocalist of August Burns Red, and he does kind of a few videos he's done of reacting on YouTube channel and stuff. But on this specific one, he was like ready for a breakdown. He was, getting excited, and it didn't happen like he thought it was going to happen.
Yeah, they go into like group shouts or something. He's like, okay, all right.
The gang vocal haze, and he specifically said, well, looks like this is their mainstream song, but he was wrong. That wasn't the attempt on the album. We'll get to that song in a bit. But no, I mean, at first didn't like it. The more I listened to it, I really like the lyrics. I really like it. And there's still, even though there isn't a breakdown, there's some gang vocals, there's still kind of a breakdown. And I like I said, I enjoy when lead vocalist, what's his name? Ryan Kirby, when he says, you'll never break me. That part's pretty awesome. Kind of goes The Face of Hate. It's a very similar type of song lyrically to me. What about you?
So for me, I liked Breaking the Mirror overall. I like the lyrics. There's still some kind of cheesy stuff, but I feel like it's mostly positive.
Very positive, yeah.
He says no more doubt, no more fear. You'll never kill the flame in me. I mean, those are whether you're a Christian or not, but I am, and so I see the world through a Christian lens. But yeah. So that seems pretty Christian to me. The last time they do the chorus, there's this double bass pedal that I just love how they finish through it through the chorus that way. And I know that's what the drummer was saying on that live video, that he loves. This is his favorite song because he was actually able to play the drums the way he wanted through a chorus. When
That's
usually
awesome.
He calms down a lot so that they can sing and do stuff. I don't know. I felt like it was very well produced. It was very well mixed. But yeah, not exciting to me. Nothing. I don't know. It didn't push boundaries for me or for the genre, but I think for the band, it pushed a lot of boundaries for their skill. To show what else they can do besides just screaming and filthy breakdowns.
Yeah, I mean, and on Spotify, this has over 5 million plays already.
I know, already.
Before the album even dropped. Yeah. And so, I mean, it's obviously popular probably outside of their traditional fan base, too. People can listen to it. It might be more accessible compared to, old Fit for a King stuff. But I mean, just the idea of their lyrics, in this and we look at it through a Christian lens, but like you don't have to. You know, it's literally overcoming self-doubt. You know, we tend to hate ourselves and who we used to be more. We look at ourselves, we remember those things, and so we're breaking that mirror and kind of just crushing that self-doubt. So I think people can also grab onto that message too.
Yeah. So one more thing I liked that I forgot about is, so with Daniel Gailey in the band and actually like writing the songs this time around, the guitars are just like always going, right? It's not just chugs. Like he's like picking the whole way through the entire song, and it has a lot more song to it, I guess. Like the guitar actually sings.
It's a lot more technical than what they've done before.
But I love
and Ryan
that he
Gailey
does,
is from what band, Gary?
Phineas.
Phineas, yeah.
Phinehas. But yeah, I love that they're doing like pinch harmonics at the end of breakdowns, or like, you know, like just really cool guitar stuff.
There's like more guitar solo-y stuff than they've done.
Yeah, there's
in
a few
past
songs
albums.
that's like, whoa, there's a guitar solo right here.
Yeah.
Like Fit for a King is not that, you know, it's usually like just low and heavy and slow, and then, you know, and now we have a guitar solo.
Yeah.
And I like that he brings that to the band. It brings something new.
It does.
I wouldn't like them if they kept making the same thing every album.
Right. I mean, we talk about that with almost every band we're going to talk about is who do they progress to become, you know, because they're not going to stay the same.
Yeah.
And it kind of leads us to our next song, Annihilation.
Uh-huh.
And so I think, what are your thoughts on this one? Because when it came out, like we're talking of the release songs, you know, God of Fire was obviously pretty heavy, but this was a heavy song too.
So I think this song, it's hard to say. There's like two things I want to say, and I don't know which one is right, and they're probably both wrong. It's either that it's a heavy song that never has a breakdown.
Yes.
Or the entire song is just a breakdown.
I would say the former. Heavy song without like a true, like what we know as a breakdown.
Yeah.
I mean, there's obviously going to be some breakdowns and stuff, but not like a real filthy Fit for a King breakdown.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And
no
it seems
stopping,
more
no
like
change of pace.
Yeah, definitely. It seems more like a hardcore song, you know, rather than like metalcore, what they're kind of done before.
So I think this song has like maybe 20 different words in the entire song.
Yeah.
And Annihilation is like all he says in the song over and over and over.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is a great workout song, like a great, like, you know, you gotta lift some weights and you need some music with big angry words, like powerful words, I should say.
Yeah.
Like he has like redemption, annihilation, destiny, annihilation, rebuild, tear down, annihilation. Like, yeah, it's just,
Yeah.
I felt like they weren't done with this song.
It's a good song, but for me, and this is where I think you'll agree, it blends in. So when you go from Breaking the Mirror to the next song after Annihilation, The Path, I just feel like it blends into me. Yeah. I don't really know. And when I guess it's on, it's already over. You know, I mean, it's not bad, but it's not really one of the better songs on the album. It is, like, it could fit on older albums, you know what I mean? But it wouldn't be something that stands out. And it doesn't stand out even on this album, The Path. So, I get it. You know, I enjoy it. I'll still listen to it, but it's just nothing unique. It's nothing that makes me say, oh, let me put that on a playlist, you know?
Yeah. Guys, we don't have enough heavy songs. Let's make one more heavy song.
Exactly. And this album is full of songs that are different than what they've done, but this to me isn't really that different. The next song, The Path, to me is a lot different than what they've done.
How so, Tyler?
I will say, like, right away, okay, I don't know if you know this or even think of this. The intro riff literally reminds me of Walk by Pantera. Every time I hear it, you know, and so I guess you'll have to go listen to Walk and then listen to The Path by Fit for a King, because it's obviously not the same, but it has the exact same feel. Yeah.
Well, so I mean, they all like that kind of music,
of course.
So.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people do. You know, I like that song too, but it definitely kind of turns me off. That just the intro riff. But when the guitars finally come in, I do like the song a lot. You know, not just the one guitar going na 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 na. What were your thoughts on it?
So I thought it was interesting that they chose to name the album after this song. And I feel like there's always a reason. Like an example is Death Grip. The song Death Grip, by far the best song on that album. Yet they named it after it. And on that, you know, album release Twitch live stream thing we watched, they were saying that they thought people wouldn't like that song, and it was like their biggest shot. They're like, I don't know, let's do this. Yet they named the album after it. So part of me is like, why did they name this The Path? Like, well, I don't know.
I would say the theme of The Path, right, is following that narrow path, right? And I think a lot of their songs kind of hit that, like, not falling off, you know, not giving in to outside pressures, giving into sin, giving into the world, staying on the narrow path. And I think that might be part of the reason why. But I think, like you said, it feels like this song isn't the strongest on the album.
Yeah, and, you know, this is actually a song that I like.
Yeah.
And lyrically, you know, I like it. It's like, you know, like if you're struggling, if you're dying for somebody to believe in, don't turn your back. You have a story to tell. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm struggling, I'm suffering. I have a story now. I don't know. And then he just says, we'll find the path out of hell. And it's like, we're in this together, buddies. I don't know. I think I'm coming from a pessimistic point of view with the lyrics. I think the music's great for the song. I like the pinch harmonics that lead to the breakdown.
Yeah.
I mean, musically, I'm liking it. But I don't know. It's just the lyrics for this is just so buddy.
It is, yeah,
like,
for sure.
We'll find the path out of hell. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Arena rock, anthemic. Like, I don't know. I'm not gonna lift weights to this song with him. Like, you know, you can make it, man. I'm like, thanks, buddy. I feel better. I don't know. I'm sure other people out there will hear this song and it probably speaks to them. And it's like, yeah, you know, like, this is such a great song. But me and where I'm at in my life, I guess, it just I don't know. Over my head.
Speak
I don't
to you,
know. Yeah.
But I mean, you like the song. I like the song. To this point, we've gone 1, 2, 3, 4 songs, and we are whelmed. You might be underwhelmed. I'm whelmed. You know, and so we haven't even been like, oh wow, this is a great song yet.
Yeah, I think the first 4 aren't that bad.
No. I would say they're not bad at all.
Like, really, I think overall, even at this point, I'm not saying this album's bad. I'm not saying I don't like it.
Right.
Like, I think with these first 4 songs, I'll probably say that it's like a 7 out of 10.
Sure. And I think that's totally fair.
It's just my expectations are Dark Skies was a 10 out of 10. Mm-hmm. And this is their attempt afterwards. And obviously, they don't want to make the exact same music for the exact same people. They want to grow their fan base. They want to push themselves as musicians. They want to have fun making music too. They don't want to just keep making the same sound. I mean, it's fine. The album is fine.
It's fine.
Gary's fine stamp of approval.
But Gary, I think that, like, after these first 4, then you have Prophet, that wasn't a single release. They didn't play it on their live Twitch stream, right? Mm-hmm. And I listened to it right when the album came out, automatically loved it. reminds me kind of like The Price of Agony in a way, to where it's like softer, goes heavy, and then has that breakdown at the end. It definitely is like vintage to me, Fit for a King. Lyrics, awesome. It's a little bit different theme, right? There's more of like this lamenting to God. And then when they scream right before that breakdown, "Don't let the world devour me," like, I'm moving. I'm gonna move a little bit, and I'm gonna be looking weird in my car because I'm throwing hands. Just stopped at a stoplight.
This guy's mad.
This guy must be just so mad. No, I'm just feeling this right now from this filthy breakdown. So Prophet, it might be my favorite song on the album.
All right.
What are your thoughts?
So, probably my second favorite song on the album. I mean, this was the first one. When I listened to it, I was like, okay, finally, they're making something that they're into.
Yeah.
I felt like vocally he was in it more. Like, I don't know. I mean, you could feel the struggle that he's having, right?
Yes.
So the song's about like someone like, I lost someone I loved, and I love the chorus when he says, "If you can create all of the stars, then why can't you mend a broken heart?" And the way he like shouts that, like, goosebumps.
Absolutely.
I love that he says, the music is really good. I feel like it's more dynamic.
Yeah,
we
definitely
build,
dynamic.
It gets soft. There's one line that I like the way he says it. He says, "Release the grip of death." And I mean, I've been to funerals, and like for days after the funeral, well, even days after, like, I hear about someone dying. So my cousin Kyle passed away a few years ago now, and for a long time, like, that grip of death, right? Not on Kyle, on me.
Yeah.
Of like, man, like, any day, it was a sad car accident, and like any day could be your last, and like it's really a grip of death. And I can't even imagine what it's like to lose a loved one, like a spouse or like your best friend. And it's like something in your whole life is gone now that you've had forever. And like, yeah, that grip of death can just be brutal. And I really feel like the way he's saying "release the grip of death" is like, that's literally what he's talking about. I feel like I could feel it in the song when he says it. Or at least I felt it when he said it. Maybe this song just speaks to me more than the path spoke to me.
Yeah, exactly, though. I mean, I think there's, like I said, most of the songs have the path themes, right? Mm-hmm. Breaking the mirror, overcoming self-doubt. This is literally like you said, like, God, why? Why is this happening? If you can do this, why not this? And then, like, it all culminates and gets to the point to where he says, "Don't let the world devour me." And it's like, that's pretty awesome. And you feel it, and you think about that. You don't want all these things. We think about death, like you're talking about, and all these other things that just kind of push us down in the world. And it can totally eat us up. It can totally overtake our lives. And it's tough not to. And so just that scream out to God is huge.
Yeah. And I like that he actually like put stuff in the song that you hear people say all the time. Like,
yeah.
So, I mean, I think my understanding is it's about the person actually killed themselves. They didn't just pass away. And he says in the lyrics, after a bridge or something, "They always told us there's a greater plan." People always say like, "Oh, God has a bigger plan."
Yeah.
And man, that's such a hard thing to hear.
Just like those cliches.
When you're going through it. Yeah. And then he says, "But who's in charge when your life's in your own hands?" Right? If God has a big plan, but I can kill myself. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. And you just really see a lot of struggle in this song. And I really like how, I mean, he's like, yeah, I guess lamenting. I know you say that like every episode so far.
I do. Have I said it? I mean, I think that's a big part of it.
It's an appropriate word.
That's what we do, and especially like these emotions in metal and metalcore as like just that screaming and like asking why, which is like an appropriate thing too for believers, even to like, why, how can this happen if you are this God? You know, if we believe in a sovereign God that is in control, how can these terrible things happen? Those are fine questions to ask. There are answers, right? Like, we know there are answers. And that's sometimes these lamentings, you know, these lamentations that we have towards God lead us to those answers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this song for me is, this song for me, like, definitely, like, you hear those things and it leads you to the answers of God is sovereign and God does have a plan. Sometimes that plan doesn't look like a plan to me, but it's good, right? And I know God knows what's good for me. And that's what we have to trust in. And it's really hard to trust, but I think asking those questions will lead you towards it, to realize we don't have much control.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say my favorite song, and it spoke to me and made me really, really like this song. When I first heard that song, I was like, add that to my like songs because it's awesome.
Yeah, if this was released on Dark Skies, I'd be like, dude, another great song. Like,
yes, absolutely. It makes me wonder why they didn't release it as a single or even play it on the Twitch live stream. But I thought, like, maybe they just wanted to give people a treat, or maybe they didn't think it was a great song.
well,
I don't know.
So in some circles,
Yeah.
I've heard people ask, are they still Christian? Look at their song Prophet, right? I mean,
Okay.
if you didn't know that, even if it's, I mean, I don't know. I don't have a problem with Christians writing music that's not about God.
Right. Absolutely.
No problem. But some people do. But he's like, Prophet, what are your words for me? Savior, am I too blind to see? You know, he's like questioning this. He's like asking like, you know, asking like a pastor or whatever, the prophet, what are your words for me? Like, how can you help me? And then he's like calling out to God, am I too blind to see? Am I not Christian? Do I not understand your will?
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know, it does sound kind of negative, doubtful. And I think if they released it as a single, people would be like, wait, what? Huh? What's happening?
Yeah.
And it's not wrapped around the theme of the rest of the song.
That's true. It's definitely not.
The rest of the album, I mean.
Yeah.
So I think it would have been a bad decision to make this as a single.
Yeah.
And to name it after your album, if the album was called Fit for a King, Prophet.
Right.
I think a lot of people would be like, no, I'm you know, there's a lot of people that are just, I don't do Christian music.
Yeah. I was thoroughly enjoyed when I got to that song, listening to the album for the first time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it will be a song that I continue to come back to. And that's something I always like, you know, try to do with new releases. Like, what songs do I come back to? You know, you can listen to a whole album and be like, oh, you know, those are good songs. Annihilation's a good song. But am I going to continue listening to that in 2, 3, 4 years? I think Prophet can definitely be in the rotation for that. And then after Prophet, we get to Gary's absolute favorite song, Locked, parentheses, in my head.
I don't have a lot to say. I really don't. I have 2 sentences that I wrote down as notes.
Well, read them.
So first, there is barely screaming in this song. And when there is, it's distorted. So it's not even screaming. Like, you can actually hear it if you have good headphones. Anytime he screams in the background, which someone else is singing and he's like screaming the same thing in the background, you can hear it's like a microphone effect, which tells me like this is shooting for the radio so hard.
It could, like, you know, I mean, it definitely could fit on a local rock radio station.
So what I relate this song to is like Beartooth.
Yeah.
Beartooth's newest album was very happy. They didn't do much screaming, and the screaming that they did do was more, you know, microphone distortion stuff. But I mean, this is kind of off topic, but the intention was that he was tired of singing songs and doing shows of depressing songs that made him angry. So he's like, I want to make a happy album that's fun to sing and fun to tour, because I'm going to do this for the next year and a half. And so why not, you know, make something that I like?
Yeah.
And when we watched the live stream, like when this single came out, I was like, what have they done?
Yeah.
What happened to Fit for a King? And, despair, all is lost. But then when we watched the live stream and they got on and did the interviews afterwards, and like probably all of them, their favorite song is Locked in My Head. And they even called it butt rock.
They did. They specifically said
Ryan
that.
Kirby's like, our butt rock song.
Yeah.
But he just said that it was fun to write, and they felt like they grew as musicians making it. And, when all you make is metalcore stuff, it's probably pretty fun to make a rock song.
Yeah, for sure. And I think they said they really liked it because of how the whole band kind of collaborated, kind of like what you were getting at. It was like it wasn't just one person's, thoughts.
I made a song, guys. Check this out. Let's now play it live.
Exactly. So it was like all of them working together. They loved it. They liked playing it. They loved the message. But it is a very soft song compared to what we're normally getting out of Fit for a King. You think there might be a breakdown, and then they just go, whoa, 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 But Gary, I low-key love it.
You love it, don't you?
Love it. Oh, gosh, I love it. And I'll sing it. I'm mowing the lawn. I'm just like, locked in my head again. I just like love it, man. Like, I don't know. It's catchy. It's not metalcore.
I think if they got rid of one of their choruses, they just sing that Locked in My Head way too much. Like, they have good lines in the verses. And even the pre-chorus stuff, it's just, they sing that Locked in My Head way too many times. And then the song is locked in your head. And
yes. Which is like, yes, it's like a double meaning because, like, you hear the song and it's stuck in your head, but the meaning of the song
is being locked in your
being
head.
Locked in your own
It's
head.
like Inception with lyrics.
No, it's obviously it's not my favorite song, but I like it. I get it. Listening to them talk about it made me appreciate it more, just like you were saying, because they're like, this wasn't something, we didn't have the record label, Solid State, have a gun to our head and say, make a accessible song that people that are not just metalcore fans will like. They wrote it themselves. They wanted to do it. Mm-hmm. And I think I'm okay with that. And I'll still listen.
You don't have a choice whether you're okay with it or not.
I don't. I don't write these songs, obviously. I'm not a part of the band. I'm just a consumer, and I still consume that song. But I do think the typical Fit for a King fan's not going to be playing this in a couple years.
Yeah, I don't think a band can survive if they don't try to reach other people and, reach the general market. Because even if they can get this song out to the general market, odds are people that hear it, only a small percentage of them will actually want to check out the whole band. And they're going to listen to their older stuff and they're going to be like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
But that's my stuff. Don't touch their older stuff. That's mine.
Yeah. And I don't think we have to keep going on about this.
I think we should bring it up as much as possible.
But it is okay for bands to change, for bands to mature, for bands to want to expand. Sometimes as fans, we want, we talked about this. We're going to talk about this with every band. We talked about this with Devil Wears Prada. I wanted them to stay making Dead Throne songs, right? But they didn't. They changed, and I think Fit for a King, they're still going to make heavy stuff. They said they love making heavy stuff, but they also like making other songs, and this is part of that.
Yep. It could lead into another like amazing album. Like they could learn stuff from this. Maybe one day they can go back and tour and do this stuff live. And that's something that playing the music on the road can really evolve a song and like really help you learn like what you like, what you don't, what you want to do in the next songs that you write.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there is no doing that.
Yeah.
There's no touring and playing it live, seeing how the audience reacts to it.
I mean, this song they will play. When they start touring again, this will be a song they play. I guarantee it.
Yep, I bet you they play it with a big smile on their face while everyone's like, how do we mosh to this?
And you know what? I'm going to be just screaming it. No, I'll be singing it because it's not screaming. But the next song, the next track, God of Fire, is so unique, And when they released it, I ate it up 100%. What about
Good.
you? Yeah, what about you, man? Like, I mean, for me, like, I have a lot to say about this song specifically.
So I loved it.
Yeah,
You have a lot to say about the song specifically.
I do.
I have a few. I have a
think
few
this
things.
might be my most notes I took.
Really.
Yeah.
What is this? So this isn't your favorite song?
This is not my favorite song, or even my second favorite song, but it is a jam.
So I thought this was a better creative route for what I like than what they did with Locked in My Head. I think it's their heaviest song on the album, which I think is interesting that they go right from Locked in My Head and you're like, oh my gosh, what have I done? And then you go into this one and it's like, holy cow, like you get whiplash, like just listening to one song after the other. It's more, I don't know if produce is the right word. It has more like keys.
Electronics, yeah.
It's like industrial.
Yes,
It's got
that's a good word.
So Rio from Crystal Lake is on it. And we saw Crystal Lake when they were on tour with these guys and August Burns Red. And they're like, we're from Tokyo. And we're like, Japan?
Awesome.
Cool, dude. Really cool music. And I think if you listen to some of their music, you can hear it in God of Fire. I felt like being on tour with those guys, it really like, they're like, we could do a song like what they do. And that's kind of their sound. It's a fun song. I really like it. There's like a breakdown every 30 seconds.
Yes.
Lots of church bells in the background. Like really, if you listen to it, there's church bells like every 30 seconds. They were just like, I love this.
Not
Check
more
out this
than Stockholm, though.
Okay.
I don't think. I mean, we'll get there.
I don't know. The end of this is just like church bell after church bell after church bell. Like,
yeah.
But no, I liked it. I thought it was, as the second single, I thought it was kind of like impending doom mixed with Fit for a King.
Yeah. I can see that.
And there's no singing, I don't think. If there is, I don't remember it. But it's heavy all the way through. It's great. It's a fun song. It's a workout song. Probably my third favorite on the album.
Yes, yeah. And I think what we have, if we'd be doing a disservice if we didn't specifically say this, if you haven't listened to Crystal Lake, you need to go listen to them. Like,
for sure.
They're awesome, and they have some really cool songs. And I love the influence, just like you said. It sounds like there's Crystal Lake influence on this song. Just the electronic part, the industrial, like you said, kind of like how it just stops. Everything stops. There's not really a guitar going. There's not really very many instruments happening, and there's a lot of space.
Sit back and watch the world burn.
Dude, that's literally what I have written down right here, and you
Church
just
bells.
stole that from me, right? You just
Sorry, you were
stole
talking
my
about it.
thunder. That's exactly what I was doing. I was talking about it, Gary. Oh,
I'm sorry.
My goodness. I'm just kidding. I'm not really
Here,
upset.
you do it. You do it then. Listen.
I will do it, but I had to get there first. This is me getting there.
I'll sit here and listen.
I love how you said this is kind of like some lyrics like For Today lyrics, and absolutely like kind of pushing the God of Wrath type of attribute of God. But I wrote down, sit back and watch the world burn, and then yes, church bells break down. But absolutely love that part, 100%. This whole song, like you said, put it on your workout jams and max out your benches that day.
Your workout jammies?
Your workout jammies. That's what I call it. It's my playlist. My workout jammies. But some people just say workout tunes, workout music. No, this is a great one. I will listen to this too. I love how unique it is. Probably the most unique song on the album also.
Definitely. All right, so positive review of that song.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, and I know you said that too, and I think truthfully, like, after Locked in My Head, like we said, the beginning of the album whelms us, or me whelms. It whelms us. But the last 4 songs of the album to me are awesome. They're definitely ending on a higher note.
I completely agree. Yep.
Yes.
In fact, I felt they did a disservice in starting the album the way they did.
Yeah.
Like, your first time going through, you're like, okay, let's play this. And that's kind of why I don't like singles and I don't like teasers because I like to sit and consume the entire album.
Yeah.
So I just pretend like I've never heard any song. And yeah, when it starts with Face of Hate, it's like, man, why not start with God of Fire?
Yeah.
Like, just jump in and punch us in the throat. Like, boom, here we go. But then you might get a little let down as the album goes. But I do think
true.
it builds in energy and
lyrically.
Content.
Especially, like, I love Stockholm, which is the next track on the album after God of Fire. It's a battle royale between Prophet and Stockholm for me as my favorite songs.
Wow.
I love how Stockholm jumps right in. I do love there's like this little break right at like 20 something seconds in maybe, and it's like just poppy singing. It's like I can't even think of what they say. It's like, and then he just comes in and screams.
No one's gonna save your soul.
No one's gonna. That's what it is. It's like,
Yeah.
I've got a feeling. It's like super quiet pop music, and he's like, no one's gonna save your soul, and it's so just awesome. I mean, I love that, and then the whole song is just after that. To me, is awesome. There's church bells throughout.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't know how I felt about this at the first few listens through all these, like, you know, that percussion that they're using or whatever it is, right? I didn't know how I feel about it, but now I'm okay with it. It does feel like we're just listening to Hell's Bells AC/DC type of percussion. A little bit, you know, obviously not fully
Only
that,
on
but
the breakdowns.
only on the breakdowns. But I mean, I really, really like it. Really like Stockholm.
I think they did so the church bells. Okay, we're complaining and making jokes, but if you take the songs out and they're not next to all the other songs with church bells,
Yeah.
they're great.
Great.
Right? And the way that they put them in, it's not like it's in your face like, holy cow, that's a church bell. It's like you like take your headphones off, you're like, is someone ringing a church bell? Like it's in the distance. Like
Yeah.
you don't really hear it very loud. And I feel like it adds to like the epic feel of some of these songs. It's a
For
great
sure.
background like filler. A lot of like what you said, I like the speed of this one. It's just like bow down to the enemy, just like straight punching. The music just goes. It doesn't stop.
This might have the most plays by me of any song on the album. It's not necessarily my favorite. I mean, it was a battle between that and Prophet, but I listened to it a lot. And I think overall the album's fairly short in general.
It's actually not.
It's not? It feels like it is.
So I think the problem is that when it's over, you're like, where's the rest of it? Like, I want more. Like, I'm not done listening.
Yeah.
But no, like every single one of their albums has been 36 or 35 minutes long.
Oh, and this is right there then. Yeah.
Yeah, every single album. I was like, this has to be their shortest album they've ever done. And I look at Dark Skies and it's 1 minute shorter. And I was like, oh.
Wow.
Okay. And looking at Death Grip, it's like the same, a couple seconds off. And it's like, okay, I guess this is what they do. Slave to Nothing, Descendants, Creation, Destruction, whatever. Yeah, it's very surprising. And I think that says a lot. Either that they were making stuff that we liked and we wanted more, or they didn't make enough of what we liked. And so we were like expecting more. Because once Vendetta hit and like silence, it's over. I was like, more? The album's over?
Yeah.
Aren't there a few more songs? But yeah, totally.
Yeah, and I'll like, you know, when I go on a walk or whatever, I'll listen to it and I'll listen to the whole album, you know, on my walk, which is about a half an hour. And it just feels like it's definitely short, but that's interesting. I guess I didn't look at the times of the other albums. I just assumed this was the shortest.
What song are you skipping?
I go on my AirPods. I hit, click the AirPods a few times, and I'll get to Prophet and continue and just listen through. No, Stockholm though, like, love it. Play it all the time. Another song I will continue to play, I believe, when this album isn't new anymore, you know. Louder Voice, the next song, lyrically might be the best song on the album.
It's my favorite song on the album.
It is, okay. So tell me why.
I feel like you're always asking me, man.
I love your opinions. You are the guru.
No, it's Gary.
Oh, sorry.
It's
You're
close.
the Gary.
So, let's see where to start. So when I first heard this song, like right away, he says like, "We all have two voices in our head." You know, he talks.
Whichever one you choose.
Yeah, fear and love. Right. I'm doing a pretty good impersonation.
You're doing really good.
You guys don't even know. So, when I first heard that, I first thought of like that old folk tale of like the old Cherokee grandpa talking to his grandkid about the two wolves. You know that story?
I feel like you're making it up, so no.
Okay, I'll tell you the story. So there's an old Cherokee Indian who is teaching his grandson about life.
Yeah.
And basically he says, I have this written down so I don't forget stuff. But basically he says, a fight is going on inside me. It's a terrible fight, and it's between two wolves. One is evil. He is anger, envy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, not just pride, superiority, and ego. He continued, the other wolf is good. He is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith. And this same fight is going on inside of you and inside every other person. And the grandson thought for a minute and asked his grandfather, which wolf will win this fight? And the grandfather says, the one you feed.
Yeah.
And it's just an old, like, folk tale. And I always wondered why it was an Indian chief and not just, like, some grandpa. But anyway, that's exactly what I thought when he's like, you know, the one you listen to will shape you and the one you ignore will fade away.
Yeah.
When he's talking about the two voices in your head. And I feel like maybe that made me listen to the song more, but after he talks like that and it just jumps right in, like, I feel like this is another dynamic song where there's a lot of highs, a lot of lows. I like how he screams parts of it kind of higher with like more energy.
Yeah.
Not like his like normal screaming or his deep low growly screams, but he kind of gets a little high.
I wrote down, and I don't know, it's not punkish. It's not necessarily thrash, but it's definitely like somewhere in there maybe. I don't know.
Squeezing screams?
Yeah, it's not their normal type of scream.
Yeah, I like the way he does it.
Yeah, I like that part a lot. Absolutely. I think for me, I heard the whatever his talking at the beginning and his just like whichever one you choose or whatever, you know, and I'm like, okay, I'm not a huge fan. And so it sounds like the opposite was for you, you know?
Well, I mean, I'm not saying I liked that part.
Yes, but you were listening.
I'm just saying I understood
the message.
I heard it, and then now I'm like, okay, tell me what you want to tell me.
Yeah. But the song itself after that, I really liked, and I still like. I think the idea of like that louder voice in your head, whatever one it is, whatever one you feed, that's going to be the one you listen to. And so which one are you going to feed? Are you going to feed the one of depression, of self-hate, of self-doubt, right? Getting back to this theme. Or are you going to feed the one of, you know, you succeeding, the one of you choosing good and choosing faith and choosing God over, you know, all these like things of the world, right? Mm-hmm. So what's going to be the louder voice in your head? And so I totally love that. And just those reaffirming things, like you tell yourself, like God is in control, God is sovereign, and that voice can really help you get rid of all the other terrible things that are going on in your head.
Yeah. I do like that. I feel like with the song, you can sense the struggle that he's having.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, with fear, there's a lot of things, you know, anger, stress, doubt, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But I feel like in the song that he is listening to fear.
Yeah.
And he wants to listen to love again. But yeah, and I like the way that he, you know, says that, will I let hope speak again? Mm-hmm. Like, I don't know. It's just like a very good self-reflection on how he's living. Like listening to the bad voice and not the good voice. You said the devil on the shoulder or the angel on the shoulder. You know, that kind of thing. But I love the way in the bridge when he like screams, because it's the new way he screams, and he says, "Will
Yeah.
you pull me from the dark, my friend?"
Yes.
Screams it really high. Like, I really like the way he hits it like that.
Okay, you weren't even close on that, by the way.
Well, I'll play a clip right there.
Yes.
I'll just delete my voice. And you don't have to hear
No,
it.
you gotta leave it.
My friend.
Absolutely, though, I think we can all like identify, especially as believers. I know we've had these conversations a ton about giving into fear. It's really easy to think about all the scary and terrible things of this world, and it's really easy to feed those thoughts to where that's all you're thinking about, and you don't think about love and hope anymore. So this song lyrically, I think I said this at the beginning to talk about this song, is probably lyrically my favorite song. Lyrically the best, because it definitely explores that idea of what's the louder voice in our heads on a daily basis.
You know, and I like that to kind of expound on that.
Yeah.
I think it's easier to choose the fear,
For sure, yeah.
right, than love. It's so much easier to choose like the darker side of things than the lighter side, because you feel like you stay hidden. And I like that in the lyrics he says, "I see in the distance a light further away. It's building resistance. I refuse, I refuse." Like, you know, he sees that like, oh, I can make the right choice here. I can do the love voice instead of the fear voice. But it's building resistance, and he just like refuses it. Like, nope, I don't need to do that. I'm going to stay in fear. I'm going to stay like this. And so I really liked, like, I mean, the lyrics all the way through.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's why this is my favorite. You know me, I'm more of a lyric guy. I listen to the song, the music has to catch me, and then the lyrics keep me. And this is a song that I think I'll put on my forever list, if you will. It could be like a top 10 Fit for a King song. Top 20, easily.
Yeah, easily top 20 for sure. I agree. Definitely a good one. And then
what about the guitar solo right at the end? I love that. That's where like this guitar solo comes in. It's like 5 seconds long, and it's like, oh, that was it. I wanted him to keep going.
We're gonna put our toes in the water of guitar solos.
What do you guys think of this guitar solo? And if everyone's like, what's this guitar solo in our metalcore?
Take it home.
We don't like that here. No, I liked it, and I went back.
Too. I thought it was good, and it could be a good change for the band as they move forward. I think they were talking about that on the Twitch thing, how the influence of new band members is going to change some of the way they write music, which is awesome.
I did like hearing about like their biggest influences. So for those that didn't know, they mentioned Killswitch Engage, As They Lay Dying, Parkway Drive,
baby. I love Parkway Drive.
Older Parkway Drive, I'm down.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like pretty much what we listened to when we were younger, and these guys are our age, and so they're making music now that
or younger. They might be younger. No.
Yeah. I mean, Ryan Kirby's like 30.
Oh.
So he's 1 year younger than
1
me.
year, yeah.
Now everybody knows my age.
So they grew up listening to the metalcore that we listen to, right? Just, I mean, obviously, you just said it, and so I also think that might be why some of the songs sound the way they do.
And that might be why some of them sound boring to me.
Maybe.
Because they're like, it's like, oh yeah, that Killswitch has done that 20 times. And As I Lay Dying's done that on like 5 albums. Like, you know, now you guys are doing it. And I'm sure someone out there is like, that is so cool.
Yeah.
Where did they learn this? And I'm like, yeah, man, no influence. They just did it themselves.
Right. Absolutely. And the last song on the record is a heavy song. Very heavy. It's Vendetta.
Another gym track.
A gym track. You said God of Fire is the heaviest.
And I stand by that.
I feel like Vendetta is the heaviest song.
Let's fight.
Let's go now.
We'll meet halfway.
I'll drive 45 minutes. In Ritzville. Okay, Ritzville will throw down at Zips. This for sure, to me, maybe it's just like it's like the song Pissed Off. You know, it's kind of has that brutal breakdowns, screaming, and God of Fire is different, industrial, It's definitely heavy, but I don't feel like it's as heavy as Vendetta. There's some weird silence towards the end where there's
Love
then
it.
a girl talking or something. I didn't really remember what it said, but that part is awesome. Like, I really, really enjoy that part. And then afterwards, how the song ends. I like the song. I don't know if I really love the lyrics and how they say Vendetta 5,000 times, but, and it's fine the way they say it.
I like it.
Yeah.
It reminds me. So, okay. I'm sorry for stealing your conversation.
You're not
We'll
stealing.
come back to you. This song screams Demon Hunter to me. So first, it starts off with a guitar intro that reminds me of Demon Hunter.
Okay.
Newer Demon Hunter. And I'll be clear. I love Demon Hunter, but I really love the first 3 albums. But this is about their newer Demon Hunter. So more guitar solo, more riffs, more, classic metal type music. But the reason I think the song reminds me of Demon Hunter so much is Demon Hunter has this song called Life War, and they just constantly say Life War. Same thing. They keep saying Vendetta over and over. Like, and it's just like punching.
What I like, I didn't even think of that. Life War compared to Vendetta. There's another similarity why I think you probably think it sounds like that is the silence, right? There's like nothing but words. This is my Vendetta. There's like nothing, no instruments. And Life War, there's no instruments. It's like purposeful silence of instruments and
on that
vocals
part.
On that part only, and so I think that's a great connection. Absolutely, totally, 100%.
But I think it's a great way to end the album.
Yes, and for sure. And here we go, Gary. Are you ready for this? After that little talking part, we get an iconic Ryan Kirby 10-second scream.
I was upset it was only 10 seconds.
Yes, I mean, he can go longer, but like that, I just love how he can do that, because there's not very many vocalists can really do it as well as he does it.
Yeah.
But Backbreaker, he has that long, deep scream where it's like, it feels like it's 20 seconds at least. And this kind of has that too, and I love how he does that. Absolutely.
And when we saw them live, he did it.
Oh, and it was just like it was recorded, which is phenomenal. Yeah, no, this is a great way to end it. I don't know if it's not, it might be one of my top 5 of this album. But it's not like super awesome. It's super heavy, and it's on the gym jammies. I love it. I mean, it's a good song. It kind of reminds me of like My Curse by Killswitch Engage. It's like, this is my curse, and so I feel like that's what I automatically first thought. I mean, it's way heavier than that, obviously, but I just felt like the singing was similar to that, but. It's good. I really enjoy it. Great way to end the album. It leaves you on a high note, so you want more.
So, closing thoughts?
Let's do it this way, Gary. Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, the entire album considered, what would you rank this album?
So I wrote this down, and I'm trying to think if I'm going to change my mind. And I'm not. But I'd give it a 6 or a 7 out of 10, the entire album. So 6.5.
6.5 out of 10 for The Path, Fit for a King.
Yep, and I think it's because of the last half of the album. Otherwise, it might have been a lot lower.
Yeah, I mean, I can see that. There's some good stuff.
You can't just ask me that and not tell me yours. What is what would you rate it out of 10?
Now, this is where I think I said this to you. The more I listen to it, the more I like it. And you're like, really? Because the opposite's true for me, right?
The more you made me research songs I didn't like to hear.
The more I listen to it, the more I like it. And I'd say right now, it is an 8 out of 10 for me. I would say it's better, one of the best releases so far in 2020.
That's a tough thought. I have not thought about that.
There hasn't been a ton of music out, obviously, but I would say it ranks up there, and I would probably say it's the best release that we've had so far.
Do you think it's better than the new August Burns Red?
Yes.
Do you think it's better than the new Five Finger Death Punch?
Obviously, I know your answer is no.
Whoa. Yes,
but
I
for
do.
me, it's absolutely. Now, August Burns Red's tough. I would say it's tough, but I would say yes, it is better.
Oh, interesting.
Because there's a couple songs on there on Guardians that are straight bangers, but
I think this is a newness thing for you.
it could be. It could be that it's just a recent release of 2020, and I'm like, I need new music, and that could be part of it.
So yeah, I do think this is one of the best 2020. It'll probably be in my top 5 of 2020 releases.
Yeah.
It is probably not in my top 5 of Fit for a King albums.
Not in your top 5?
That means it's in last place.
So, I think I text you this. How much weed have you smoked before doing this podcast? Because that is ridiculous, dude.
So, in reality, I think my decision has changed since we talked. Because before I wrote that this is 6 out of 6. I like every Fit for a King album better than this one, but I'm gonna change my answer and say it's like 4th. And I kind of go in order. I like Dark Skies, Death Grip, Slave to Nothing, then this. But I mean, production and quality wise, like this is up there. Like,
yeah.
If you listen to this and then you go to like, Descendants, that album,
yeah,
it's a huge difference in quality of songwriting and mixing, and it's huge. But there's some nostalgia with that for me, and I think that's why I kind of held those higher.
Yeah.
Which I don't think is right. I shouldn't do that. So yeah, probably my 4th favorite.
And I think I would either say it's in between 3rd. What did I say at the beginning? I can't contradict myself unless you changed my mind.
I changed your mind.
Unless you changed my mind. Because I was thinking like Slave to Nothing, I have a couple songs on there that I really, really like, but I don't think the album itself, and part of it is I haven't given it a listen through in a long time. But Death Grip and Dark Skies, probably thinking about it, are above the Path. So Path would probably be 3rd for me. And I love it. I mean, I think there's something too that we finally have new music in 2020, and I really might just be addicted to the newness of it.
Yeah, and
right
that's
now.
really cool too. I'm really glad that I'm sure it's really risky to release an album during COVID, right? They can't tour it.
Yeah.
So like it's really cool that they did that, and they did the live stream, concert on Twitch. That was really cool, and I hear more bands are doing that. They're kind of copying them and doing that, and that's awesome. But it's still just one show.
Right.
And sure, they had almost 4,000 people watching it live. That's not counting how many people watched it not live.
Yeah.
But during the live show, they had a marketplace merch store that's just for the live show. And, all that money goes to them for basically like you saw them on tour,
For right now, I think it's an awesome way to do it.
Yep. And I think, I don't know, it really sucks that this whole COVID thing sucks. Yeah. And it's cool that they did this. I really appreciate them and that they released this. And I will always remember that this album came out at this time in 2020 because of what we're going through, and that this is out here and we can actually listen to new stuff and not, because so many bands are just like, well, let's keep pushing it. This album's going to be out next year.
Yeah.
Well, cool. And, when this episode releases, we'll post on Facebook or whatever. And if you hear this and you like us going through albums, like just instead of the discography, right? Like we did Haste the Day, we did The Devil Wears Prada. Let us know, because we're up for feedback. We like talking about entire albums, especially if we love the album. And we also like talking about entire bands, like all the songs, right?
Yeah.
But I think our formula right now is that we just kind of talk about bands we like, and as new music releases, we'll talk about the new album as it releases, so we get a fresh, hot take on it.
Yeah, kind of have
Right.
a little bit of both. You know what? And truthfully, Gary, what it comes down to is we just like talking music together, and we're just gonna keep
do
doing
what we
it.
want.
We do.
You
what
can't
we
stop
want.
us.
Thank you for listening.